Wedding Crashers is the 2005 classic comedy starring Owen Wilson, Vince Vaughn, Rachel McAdams, Isla Fisher, Bradley Cooper, and Christopher Walken. You may have thought this was just a simple fun rom-com about a couple guys living the bachelor life when they realized that they enjoyed true love even more than the bachelor lifestyle of hooking up with hot chicks at weddings. You'd be wrong. Rule number 114, everything is political. Me and Mrs. Casual are going to go through the movie debating whether it's woke or based. So let's get into it. To start off, John, played by Owen Wilson, and Jeremy are divorce mediators. So you can see right off the bat, we're getting pretty fucking based. The dude tells his wife suck his left nut, and he's leaving his old, used up wife and ruining his decades-long marriage to fuck a hotter, younger girl who's probably just using him for money, and she's also a stripper. This dude's a boss.
Well, actually, I think this is woke in the best way. This woman's marriage isn't nearly as important to her as those frequent flyer miles, and she'll get half his shit at least. Why would you want to stay with one person for decades when you can leave them and fight the patriarchy? Plus, you get to be promiscuous with younger men until you don't feel like it, and you can just spend time with your cats. As soon as Jeremy mentions the young Latin man, she's all over it. Good for her.
We don't have to go through the specifics of all the next scenes. It's essentially a montage of John and Jeremy hooking up with random hot chicks at weddings, because according to the movie, women are always horny at weddings. This is the premise of the whole thing.
I find this premise so woke it's incredible. First of all, they made a point to show diversity too, which is incredibly important, even though we don't know any of these girls' names while they proudly show off their ample womanhood. This is such an empowering message for women that they can go to a wedding, get trashed, and sleep with any guy who lied to them and doesn't even know their name with no guilt or shame. Why shouldn't women have the ability to get plowed by as many men as they want? There's no negative consequences. Any guy who would judge them for this is probably just short with a little dick anyways.
Ugh, could not disagree less. This is based as shit. Lying to women, using fake names so they can't find you, using them as you need to, and sending them back to the streets where they belong. How could it possibly be any more red-pilled? This is the dream of every beta and the reality of every alpha and sigma. The only thing remotely blue-pilled about this is the idea of crying to get women, fake or not. Chad Thundercock doesn't cry to get women. Women cry because they don't get to ride the Chad's Thundercock.
That's so gross to objectify women like that.
I think you mean empowering.
That's true.
For the man!
Ugh. Asshole. Anyway, the next scene is the big Cleary wedding that sets up the rest of the movie. They do their usual routine, but there's a wonderfully woke scene where Secretary Cleary's wife, Kathleen, tells John they have only been monogamous for 2 years of their 30-year marriage. A man comfortable enough to let his wife openly commit adultery while he stays at home knowing she's getting her back blown out by another guy is a real man. Jack Murphy has a wonderful influence on men today and has increased wokeness substantially.
Secretary Cleary is a pathetic cuck in this movie. John, however, is based as shit. Trying to sleep with both a man's wife and daughter who's engaged all at the same wedding? I would say that alone makes him a sigma male. But he takes it a step further. He befriends Secretary Cleary through lies right to his face while getting seduced by his wife and trying to steal his daughter. And his best friend Jeremy is railing his other daughter Gloria on the beach. An inspiration to us all. That is a golf ball sized red pill up in this bitch. We get a touch football game at the Cleary house where Jeremy and John have been invited to stay for the weekend.
Disgusting. They didn't even kneel before they played. Racist.
I'm glad you agree it's based. Touch football, where one guy cheap shots everyone else to establish dominance, is the natural instinct of a man, just as our good Lord intended. Secretary Cleary even calls Zach, his son, a thoroughbred. Eugenics are the best.
I don't know if you noticed or not, but the violence was done by the bad guy of the movie. The movie obviously realizes how barbaric football is, and it's simply a modern-day form of slavery for the BIPOC community, beating up on each other for amusement of the rich. The fact that it was all colonizers playing demonstrates their deeper understanding of how problematic this so-called game really is.
This bitch is crazy. This is why you don't get married to a woman who's allowed to think, fellas. Let's just keep going before you spew any more of this TikTok propaganda. The next scene is the big dinner. Why don't I let you take this one first, since dinner's made in the kitchen anyway, and then we can hear your retarded ass reasons that this is woke because you like the movie, so it has to be woke.
You'll let me? This is why you don't get married, ladies. As soon as you marry a man, you become his property. This has literally not changed at all since women got traded for donkeys hundreds of years ago. Oh, and also I don't appreciate ableism in this house.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, This is another notch on the old belt for us in the woke crowd. They mention environmentalism, FDR being great, and his awesome lesbian wife. We even get LGBTQIA plus representation from Todd, who's a painter and a black servant. It's wonderfully progressive and well ahead of its time.
Is it my turn yet?
Yes. What? I'm sorry I snapped. I'll make it up to you later with that thing you've been wanting to do.
Damn right, bitch. Best respect to your king. This is the most base thing Jeremy does all movie. Hand job at the table in front of the whole family. Let them know who's boss. And John drugs a bitch at the table. Classic alpha move.
He drugs Zach, the guy.
Not all bitches are women. Heyo! Then, as John's trying to steal Claire right in front of her fiance, Secretary Cleary's wife Kathleen comes upstairs and shoves her titties right in his face. John is such a role model, it almost feels like he was written as a self-insert.
Again, their relationship is open and beautiful. He's not a cuck, he is secure in his relationship.
Moving on from nonsense, Jeremy wakes up with a hot-ass girl on him and titties right in his face. What more could a Chad ask for, and how could he possibly expect less?
Personally, the scene of a woman raping a man after he screams no and is tied up with a sock duct taped in his mouth is a beautiful metaphor for women getting revenge on men in society. We can't do anything about the ones decades or hundreds of years ago who oppressed women, but now we can punish men for what those dead men did. And to follow it, we get a homoerotic scene with Todd and Jeremy. The way that Todd respected Jeremy and gave up after he didn't consent was a lesson that all potential rapists need to learn. By which I, of course, mean men.
Ha! He didn't respect the consent. Jeremy's such a Sigma that even tied up, he was like, you ain't gonna catch me on that gay shit. And he knew to get the hell out. It is a bit weird how often, though, alpha men are wrestling and touching each other, considering that literally none of them have ever been one of the gays. The next big scene is a promotion for the Best Amendment, which obviously means the Second Amendment. They go hunting just like our caveman ancestors did, with shotguns and warm hats to kill small birds that they ain't even gonna eat. Shit brings a tear to my eye, it's so manly and American.
Once again, you seem to miss the most important part, where they are punished for using guns and Jeremy gets a load in his ass.
I guess he did get caught on that gay shit.
It's clearly a commentary on the lack of gun safety in this country. Grown men can't even avoid shooting each other. If we didn't have guns, we could be as well off as one of these nations that has less gun violence than we do, like Afghanistan or the Congo. It really is such a tragedy that old racists won't let go of their guns so we can end crime.
In the next big scene, we actually switch up who's based for a little bit, and we go from John Jeremy to Zach. John is being a really depressed simp because he lost Claire, and Zach kicks his ass and reminds Claire that she belongs to him. She's not allowed to speak to other men, and that's his God-given right. After he kicks John's ass, he says he's going to go get the big titty bartender as a side piece. Every alpha deserves concubines and a harem.
I find the wokeness here palpable. The bad guy uses violence again instead of kindness to make John go away. And this is where John really proves his love. If a guy won't stalk you for months when you were already engaged and you've rejected him, is it even worth it? Typically, I would say a man should never approach a woman. But if he can read her mind and knows that she's into him, he should pursue her endlessly, even if she says no and there is no kindness returned. Also, we keep going into John's depression montage, where they show Zach as abusive because he doesn't feel like playing the hand-slapping game with her. This really encapsulates how violent and destructive 100% of all men are. All women are victims of abuse.
It's based that he didn't have time for her bullshit. We already heard him say he wants her to give up her career and turn into a breeding factory, which is all women are good for anyway. But I will agree, it is a bit woke that he actually had to raise his voice at all. She should respect her man more. Moving on to the next big scene, we meet Will Ferrell, who plays Chaz, the original Wedding Crasher. He's my favorite character, the Andrew Tate of this movie. We should all aspire to be like him, just picking up women at will. Weddings, funerals, doesn't even matter. He treats all females the way that they deserve to be treated. Even his mom. Bitch doesn't bring the meatloaf, and he's on her ass like he should be.
I think this scene is so woke and ahead of its time. I was actually able to go back to sleep and become woke again with his prediction of incels in the future.
He gets laid in the movie.
You believe that these gorgeous women would fuck that fat, old, ugly man living with his mom? You have no media literacy. This movie knew that incels were going to dominate the internet and the culture. Those vermin are everywhere with their crazy conspiracies and sexism. This is why this movie is genius in ways that you red pillars don't even understand. And this takes us right into the wokest climax. John pursued Claire for months, and even though she didn't know Zach was cheating on her, it was great when she leaves him because she owes him nothing. Who cares if a guy you've been with for years proposes to you and wants to marry you and is an environmentalist, when a guy who lied to you when you met him is willing to forego other women for months and contemplates killing himself just to interrupt your sister's wedding to hit on you in front of everyone? This is so wokely romantic, I actually can't believe that you like the movie.
I view it as based because the alpha walks in and claims what's his. Best friend's wedding? The engaged girl that you want to hit on is a bridesmaid at the altar? Her whole family's there? Strut right in there and take what's yours. And then when the beta complains, let your boy deal with him. Don't even need to lift a finger. Absolute G. You can have the end though, woke as shit. Both of these guys went from being Sigmas with unlimited women to marrying non-virgins. Disgusting. What are they even doing wasting their time with used up whores like that?
Nah, I think the ending seems like your red pill bullshit. The fact that they weren't in a polyamorous, quadruple relationship seems like nonsense you like. I can't believe these women get chained down and enslaved at the end of the movie.
Face it, everything good in the movie was based because I liked it. If it was woke, I would have fucking hated it.
No, it was woke.
Based.
Woke.
Based.
Woke.
Based.
Woke.
Based.
Woke.
Are we gonna do that thing like you promised for an apology?
Yeah, I have a headache. My back hurts. I think I'm on my period. We had tacos for dinner and it's a little cold in here. Maybe tomorrow.
Well, this is bullshit. Happy April Fools, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the satire from my wife and me. I know this is way different than what I normally do, but I figured it'd be fun to mix it up for April 1st. Let me know what you think below. I'd prefer if you kept the insults directed at me, since she did this as a favor for me. And, if it was horribly unfunny, I won't waste time doing it again, but it was fun to make it. I think it's nice to change things up once in a while. As always, I'll try to respond to all the comments that aren't insults, like and subscribe and all that shit. Thanks. See ya.